Hello, everyone. My name is Funzo Sidogi, and I am a member of the Sasol New Signatures Visual Arts Competition organizing team, and I'm with my colleague.
Hi, I'm Kate Blanche, and I'm the curator for Sasol's art collection, but I'm also part of the Sasol New Signatures organizing team, and so happy to be with you here. 2025, bring it on.
Right, yes, this is our first recording of the 2025 edition of the competition. We have, of course, been creating these info session videos for the past 2-3 years. This is the third year that we are doing it. And this is really just an opportunity for us to share some insights and information and details that is available on the different platforms where the competition has got information. But it's just an opportunity for us to connect with you guys. So would really appreciate if you could go onto our website where we've got all the amazing content related to the competition, but also we have previous recordings from the info session that are available. There are some amazing conversations that we had there last year, and also had a guest speaker that engaged with topics that are not only linked to the competition, but more broadly to the visual arts ecosystem. So again, we are delighted that the competition is continuing this year. And for today's info session, we really just want to have a general conversation around the importance of not only this competition, but visual arts competitions generally, and also the competitive nature of the visual arts ecosystem, and also very briefly talk about some of the key conditions of entry that you need to look out for if you want to participate in this year's competition.
Yes, absolutely. And I think maybe we should get that out of the way quickly. First of all, we do have a wonderful new website. So that is the first thing that you would have to do if you want to enter, is to visit the website and download the entry form. And Funzo, you've got a copy of that there. So yep, that's what it looks like for this year. So we can maybe just run through some of the key factors that artists have to consider before, entering. So the first one is probably who's allowed to enter.
That's right. So at a very basic level, this competition is for emerging visual artists. And it's important for us to just note that visual arts, the visual arts competition, although previously we've received a lot of interest from people that are coming from the performing arts, from music, from dance. Unfortunately, this is just for visual artists. As long as you're over the age of 18, a South African citizen or a permanent resident, if you've got permanent resident status, you've not held a solo exhibition before, except for academic purposes. We do know that at some academic institutions, if you're studying art, you would have a solo exhibition maybe for your honors or master's degree program or qualification. So if it was for academic purposes, it's fine. You can actually still enter the competition. But if you've had a professional solo exhibition, unfortunately, this is not the competition that will assist you in the trajectory of your career. And lastly, if you have some kind of gallery representation, or you have an art dealer that is representing you, and you are already selling your work at various art fair platforms through that gallery, again, we are really looking for emerging visual artists that have not had a solo exhibition before, do not have gallery representation, so that they can use this competition as a launch pad for their careers. There is, of course, much more information in our conditions of about the conditions of entry in our entry form. Please familiarize yourself with those. There are also details in terms of the specifications for the artworks that you are submitting. You can submit up to 2 artworks. in any medium, dealing with any theme, story, narrative, concept. We don't have a specific theme for the competition that we are looking for, but we just have restrictions when it comes to the technical specifications, in terms of the weight, in terms of this, the size of your artwork, right? The dimensions, all of those details are in the entry form, and we. It's an excellent, important part of your journey as an emerging artist to read those conditions of entry and adhere to them. So please download the document, familiarize yourself, go onto our website because we've got amazing resources there. And maybe, Kate, just a little bit in terms of the other resources that we have on our website.
Yes, so we do have a number of videos, as you mentioned, information sessions from the previous years that are on there. And we also have some fact sheets. So if there's something specific that you would like to just have clarity on, then you can just refer to one of those fact sheets, and there should be quite a bit of info in there to assist you. I think the other thing is that we just need to emphasize that our submission dates are this year are on the 10th and 11th of June. And we have 8 submission points across the country. So those are the 2 dates on which we will be accepting submissions. So please make a note of that. If you aren't able to submit your work in person, you are allowed to ask someone to submit it for you. But please, whatever you do, make sure that all the documents, everything that you are required to submit, that that person is in possession of it. Because it would be very difficult then for them to sort of get hold of that if they haven't got it. So yeah, so that's information is also on our website, all the regional collection points. Just have a look at all the addresses, make sure that you've got the correct address and the correct dates. So I think that is really, and then just everything is in the entry form actually.
That's right. It's in the entry form. So look, that there's so much more information that we could provide, but as we said, part and parcel of your kind of professional practice as an emerging artist is to be aware of all the rules and regulations of the competition. So the way that we've thought of these info sessions is to provide knowledge and have conversation that kind of transcends beyond the technical information that is already available. And so for today, we just want to use the rest of the time to perhaps talk a little bit and reflect on the significance of this art competition, but more broadly, the arts competitions and the visual arts ecosystem in our country, because we really believe this platform is important for emerging visual artists, and we're of course appreciative of the amazing support that we receive from Sasol, this is the 35th year that they are funding this competition. But yes, we're going to spend the rest of the time discussing that. Just by way of historical context, the Sasol signature new signatures visual arts competition was established in the 1960s. So it's a very old competition, long-standing competition. And the trajectory of the country, and really when it began back then, it sought to create a space where artists that were young, I think that was definitely a part and parcel of kind of the ethos. Artists that were young could showcase the talent that they had. And at the time, it was linked to very specific categories. So there was a drawing category where you could win a drawing prize, and then the painting category where you can win the painting prize. And that kept happening for several years. Actually, it was only during the 1980s where there was a transition to maybe think beyond the restrictions of these fine art mediums, drawing, painting, printmaking, and and so on, to extend it to a more kind of postmodern artistic practice that we find today, multidisciplinary, using different processes and mediums together. It becomes very tricky to categorize and classify an artwork as just being purely painting. So the history of the competition has always been thinking about artists that are looking to really enter the professional space of the visual arts. And at the time, the prize, the kind of winning prize that the artist would receive was like a package. You'd receive paints, or later on you'd receive like a voucher to the art shop here in Pretoria. The competition, its birthplace is Pretoria, through the Association of Arts Pretoria, that are the custodians of the competition and the organizers essentially of the competition. But it was really the involvement of Sasol in at the turn of the 90s, right?
1991.
1991, the first time that Sasol got involved as a sponsor, and that was a massive game changer in the sense that they were able to bring in sponsorship where you could then put prize money for the artist and really professionalize the competition. Not that it was not professional before, but it just further professionalized the competition. And also the logistical support from Stutterford Van Lyns, which continues to this day, has been instrumental in making the competition national. So even started here by an arts association based in Pretoria, Stutterfords were able to allow artists from different parts of the country to enter, because they could then ferry those artworks or transport those artworks to Pretoria for the final judging round. So I'm just providing that history so that potential entrants really understand that the competition does not come from a vacuum. It's a long history where there's been a deep commitment towards creating a platform for emerging artists, not necessarily just young, but emerging artists, to launch their careers. And so today it has grown to become this national, really important project where we get in excess of 1,000 entries each year from artists from all around the country, different walks of life, different backgrounds, artists that have been trained, artists that have not been trained, that have not gone to university, artists that have had different careers, and then later on are coming back now in their lives to pursue their passion for art making. And really this gives, I want to use this word, this gives hope to emerging artists that, hey, I can actually submit my work and showcase it to a wider audience. Hey, perhaps you can also just put the competition into context in terms of the larger ecosystem in the country, right, where there are all of these projects or initiatives aiming to improve our visual arts sector.
Yes, I think it's one thing that we need to realize about actually wanting to go into the visual arts as a career. It is very, very difficult. It's highly competitive, and it's also a very niche kind of market. Although I also like to think of visual arts as being very much part of our culture and who we are. So although I'd love to have everybody be an artist, if you want to actually go into a career and earn your money and have a professional reputation in the visual arts, it's very, very difficult. You can't also just pop into any gallery and say to them, "Pop, here I am, and here's my work," and they say, "Yes, come in." So it's very, very difficult to actually find spaces where you can showcase your work. And I think this is actually what is so amazing about this competition, is that it is really actually that platform that artists can use to just transcend that kind of barrier between the professional art world and your practice. And at the moment, I'm actually sitting here in the Sasol Art Gallery, and I have an exhibition up at the moment, which is called Enduring Signatures. And this was really just actually my kind of way of saying thank you to a lot of the artists that have, over the years, on sometimes many occasions, entered work. Their works have been selected for the final exhibition, but they may not necessarily have won. And for me, this is actually really where the spirit of New Signatures lies, because a lot of these works, the artists have actually used that platform in a very productive way, in a very successful way, and they have gone on to really establish themselves as very, in the art world. So I think that is, for me, really actually where the importance of this of the competition lies. So just as an aside quickly as well, this exhibition will be up until the 11th of July. It is at Sasol Place, and anyone who will be submitting on the 10th and 11th of June, you're welcome to actually come through and view the exhibition, and we'll have some of the artists here, so you can chat to them, just, about their careers and how they manage their careers. So, yeah, really looking forward to meeting some more people on those days.
Yeah, and Kate, just to circle back to something you mentioned there, which is so profound around, if it was up to you, everyone would be an artist, right? And they can just make art all day. But the reality is that there is a professional element to this industry. And
Yes.
unlike most industries that are really closed off, in the sense that in order for you to become a lawyer or to become an accountant, there are very strict processes that you have to undergo, and certain examinations and tests and board exams and all of these things before you can get your practice number. Within the visual arts, or the arts broadly, not just the visual arts but the arts broadly, there's a lot more openness. And in the sense, it seems cliche to say anyone can become an artist, but literally anyone can become an artist if that is your passion and something that you really want to pursue. uh, but then the question becomes, where do I start? So if I've not gone to university, if I've not had the privilege of getting a 3-year, 4-year degree, diploma training, where do I start? And what you mentioned there, Kate, is this is the starting point. This is the platform. But just because it's the starting point, it does not mean immediate success. And that's just a caution that we really want to give to our potential entrants, just to brace themselves for the the kind of disappointment that comes along with this process of starting off. Just like anything in life, when you're starting something off, you do have to undergo growing pains, and processes of learning and frustration, but that's actually where the growth happens. So earlier on I mentioned we receive in excess of 1,000 entries, but the reality is not all 1,000 entries can win. That's just the reality of life, unfortunately. So that means there will be a lot of artists that will be disappointed. And what we try to do, especially with these information sessions, is to provide tips and advice and feedback that will help those artists to grow in their journey. You've noted that in your exhibition are artists who have really been resilient in their journey as artists. So that's, while we were inviting everyone really to use this platform, we also need to be honest and pragmatic that yes, this gives you an opportunity to showcase your talent, but at the same time it is a competition. and we are looking for the best emerging artist. But if you do not make it into the final round, the target, as we always say, is just to make it past the first round of judging at regional judging, and then from there see what happens in terms of making it into the top 7, getting a merit prize, runner up, and possibly being the eventual winner. So
I think it's very important, just to add to this, we often find a number of entries come from beginner artists that have not really found their voice. And they're also still struggling a little bit in terms of technical execution. And while we won't say to you, don't enter, I think there is maybe some value in entering and seeing where your work fits into the broader scheme of things. Just know that this is one of the first criteria that we have, and that we are looking, you need to have at the very, very least, you need to have some kind of technical excellence and mastery of the skill, that whatever skills medium that you've chosen. So, and that is, unfortunately, a number of the works actually don't get selected just purely on that point. But we don't want to discourage you either. If you feel you want to, please do. And, I think there is always opportunity for you to sit back and then just reflect on how you can improve from there.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yes, because it is a competition, we do have judges that scrutinize the works at regional and also at final when we're selecting the overall winner. And those are mostly professional artists or professionals in the field, established professionals who know what they're talking about, who work with art on a daily basis. And so, yes, unfortunately, we cannot reduce the standards when it comes to those expectations. So as we draw to a conclusion, I just maybe want to outline that this year, leading up to the entry, we'll have an additional info session recording where we are going to be focusing specifically on what it means to be an emerging artist. That's an important session, so we invite you to have a look at that. And we don't want to talk about things related to professional practice, thinking about pricing, thinking about what it actually means to be emerging. Then what we are also going to do, which is different from the previous years, is immediately after we've concluded the regional judging round, we'll have an additional info session where we would like to give some more generic feedback based on what we would have seen from the regional judging rounds, and so that those artists that had entered this year and did not make it through can already have immediate feedback that they can start working on your artwork for next year. We are obviously hopeful that the competition will continue into 2026. So you can already start working 8 months before. If you hear some of the stories from previous winners, they will tell you that they worked on their artwork for a year prior. So already you can kind of plan out next year around May, June, the competition will be accepting works again. So that is really important for us. And then for those artists that would have made it past the regional judging round, we'll have another info session where we just unpack the judging process a little bit. We're hoping to invite one of the previous judges for that session. And that will be in the lead up to, of course, the announcement of the winner, which will take place later in the year in September. But we felt it's important to just unpack the judging process for a while, maybe dispel some myths in terms of how the judging happens. That is it Kate that selects the judge? That is the main judge artwork.
No, it's a team.
The sessions this year, so I invite you to really be part of these conversations and discussions, and please, on our social media platforms, if there are specific questions that you have that you would like us to address, you can also post those, and we'll be more than happy to respond to them on this platform.
Yes, and on that, we actually do have now a dedicated Sasol New Signatures Instagram account. So please, yes, follow us there and engage, and give us some feedback, comments, anything that you'd like us to touch on in the information sessions. We'd love to hear from you.
That's right. And so to conclude, obviously now the target for artists that are really interested and want to showcase their work is, as Kate mentioned, the 10th and the 11th of June. And check out those regional points around the country. We are mindful and aware of the fact that we don't have a presence in all of the provinces. We are in 7 of our 9 provinces. Unfortunately, we don't have a selection point in Mpumalanga and also the Northern Cape. But for the other provinces, please check where the selection point is and make means. We do appreciate that sometimes it's difficult, especially if you're using public transportation, to access some of these drop-off points. Some of them are hundreds of kilometers away from where you stay, but really, if this is your passion, make whatever plans. There's a lovely story of our runner-up from last year who had to travel several hours using taxi to access the regional point in Gqeberha. So please check where you're supposed to drop. Make sure you complete your artwork at least a week prior. Kate was talking about the technical issues that we get sometimes. When we go judge, paint is still wet. That is an immediate kind of disqualification. So please make sure that your artwork is actually completed. You're done with it. Make sure that it's sturdy, it's stern, especially if it's sculptural, that things aren't falling off. That's just those are the kind of non-negotiables, the basics that we are looking for in terms of the quality.
And that all the documents are in, please.
That's right. So that's it for this session. Thank you so much for joining us. Please be on the lookout for the next recording on emerging artists, being an emerging artist, what that means, and what the expectations are in terms of the industry for emerging artists. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.